Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi and today we are going to talk about a few new items. We have the new YSL Quad in 900. So this is the blue one. In the US, I've only seen it on the YSL website, which they have just now stocked all of those eye palettes. And then we're also going to be going over the Valentino Liquirosso. So this is a liquid lipstick as well as liquid blush. So we're going to be going through that. I have a lot of colors here. I picked up a ton of these. So we've got a lot of swatches. What do I have here? I think like 8 or 9, something like that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna start off with swatching everything. So let's start off with the YSL palette. And if you're not familiar with these, I do have a video with the other 3 that I've already picked up. So we've got this nice, packaging. It's very similar to the Couture clutches. This is the mini clutch. So, we have the same type of packaging. Unfortunately, these are not refillable. So we have 4 grams of product. We have a 2-year shelf life on these and they are made in Italy. It does come with 2 utensils. We have a double-ended foam tip applicator and a little brush. So there is a piece of tape on the mirror. And just so you know, you can see after use, these are a bit, there's fallout with these. So, just a little powdery, which can be a little bit of an issue with the deeper shades. So first up, we have this very soft pale mint shimmer. You can see it's a really pale minty green. And then we have a light blue, more of a satin. We have this black that actually has some blue glitter in it and a more vibrant blue here. And, these are true blues, really pretty, but, they can be a bit daunting to work with. So the look I have on my eyes right now is a bit more subtle. I have the green majorly over it. I'll show you the demo in a few minutes. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Liquirossos. So we're going to put the Liquirossos on this side of my arm. And again, I picked up quite a few of these. So we have shade 109R. And these aren't in numerical order. I put them more in numerical of, color groupings. So here it is. And let me just go ahead. We'll buff out like the top shade here a little bit, just so you can kind of see how light that goes. And this is going to be a soft pale pink. I have this on my lips right now mixed with another shade, the bright Barbie pink. So we'll get to that. But you can see that this pink here, it's a neutral leaning cool pink. There is a very small touch of lavender in there. It's not something where you're going to look at it and you're going to see lavender, but it's giving it that cooler hue. I think it's really gorgeous. I love that shade. And unfortunately, they don't put the names on here, so I'll be putting out the numbers, but the names are on the screen, so take a look there if you're looking for a name. Then we have 110A, and this is going to be a little bit deeper and a little bit, let me go ahead, and a little bit warmer as well. So let's go ahead and kind of buff this one out a little bit, and you can see how much deeper this is. It's also going to be, again, a little bit warmer. This is more like your medium tea rose. I think it's a gorgeous shade. Very wearable on both the lips and the cheeks. Next, we have 115R. And this, again, is going to be kind of like your pale peachy nude shade. So this is going to be a little bit lighter. And you can see buffed out, it's a really beautiful shade. It's still going to be a little bit deeper than that first shade there, but this is going to be the lighter one for the warmer side. So this is kind of like your lightest warm toned shade. And again, it's more of a peachy nude. There's a little bit of peach, but you definitely have that nude brown kind of mixed in there. Next up, we have 151R. And again, this is going to be a little bit deeper than the one that we just looked at. You can see that it's deeper here. We've got a little bit more brown in it. And this is just a really great deeper nude, but this one actually has a touch more rose in it. Kind of like a burnt rose. Really pretty. So as you can see with this one, it's kind of like a burnt chocolate rose. And you can see how much peachier the shade before it is. Next, we have 220A, and I have this one on very lightly on my cheeks. I'll show you it a little bit deeper in the cheek swatches in just a couple minutes. But this is a really pretty soft red. It's neutral, but it's going to be a little bit warmer in tone than the other red that I have, which is much cooler. But this is actually going to be more of a neutral red here. And look at that. Just such a pretty soft red shade. Looks great on the cheeks or the lips. You know, you can't go wrong with that one. Next, we have 22A. This is, you know, Valentino's iconic red shade in the lipsticks. So this is going to be a bit more of a cooler red. We have more, like you can see, a little bit more pink. As I rub that out, there's a bit more blue in there. It's going to be a little bit brighter. Again, really beautiful shade though. And then this is the Barbie pink. So on my lips right now, I have these two mixed together. So this is a base with just a little bit of this one mixed in. And this is shade 302R. Now I do have a broken applicator with this, so I'll have to send them an email, but you can see it's not really attached. I can still use it, but it's a little bit harder. It's harder to get in and out of the container as well. So I'm definitely going to contact them about that, but you can see, you know, how the applicator is made this way. It's just like, this is all one piece of plastic that's just sort of bent out. And this is our bright pink. There's a little bit of blue in this pink. And I have to say, it's a little bit lighter than I was expecting from the promo photos on the model's lips. This looked more pigmented than it truly is. It really has, you know, it blends out a lot. It's kind of like, it has more of a translucency to it. Next up, we have 488A. And this, again, is actually lighter than I expected as well. I thought this was going to be a more vibrant orange than it is. But you can see it can actually be fairly soft. It's more muted than I expected. I think it's a really pretty shade. Really nice. Just, I thought it was going to be like a brighter orange. And then last up, we have 601R. So this is the purple, which I couldn't resist. But honestly, this one is not that wearable for me. So it probably wasn't the best purchase. But I just couldn't resist the purple. Let's kind of blend that out there. So on the cheeks, you know, this would be a great shade to mix with another color, but on its own, it does kind of look a bit more like a bruise on me. You can see how that blends out. So it's going to be better on different skin tones than mine, but I think it is a really nice kind of like eggplant purple. So these are the shades. Now let's go ahead and let's start with the YSL palette. We'll do the eye swatches and demo and talk a little bit about this palette, and then we'll move on to the Valentino demos. So as I mentioned, I do have a video featuring 3 other YSL palettes. I talk more about the formula there, what it feels like, and so forth. But just kind of an overview, because this one is slightly different. I wouldn't say it feels different than the others, but I do find that this particular one, I feel like it has a little bit more fallout than some of the other palettes. The main issue with that one is actually going to be the black shade. As we know, black pigments can tend to be a bit drier, and this one does seem to create just a little bit more fallout. So when I am sweeping on these shadows, I can specifically feel the fallout on my face. You know, I feel it with the blues a little bit, but mostly with that black. I can actually feel the pigments fall onto my cheeks there. I have to say this black, it's got some blue glitter in it, but you don't really see that, so it's kind of wasted. I feel like it needs to have a higher concentration of glitter to really be noticeable there. And again, because it is so deep, I feel like, you know, you're probably not putting this one all over your lid, so the glitter is not going to be that noticeable anyway. So honestly, I feel like the black is sort of a throwaway shade. It wasn't really necessary in here. It's not the best. So it's an okay black. It is a true black, but it's not super opaque. You know, it's I wouldn't say it's a full coverage black. So just something to note there. I just feel like that one was sort of a little bit of a misstep. The green, I think, is a gorgeous pale green shimmer. I actually wish it was a little bit more pigmented than it is. It's very light, so if you want to see any of that green, you really have to pile it on. I think this green is best utilized over the blues to turn it a little bit more into like aqua teal type thing, because it just doesn't really have enough pigment to really stand much on its own. So you really want to use this one more as a topper shade. But again, it's just, I think it would be better if it had a little bit more color, because even as a topper, you're not seeing that much of it. So, you know, that it's a little bit of a letdown there. The blues I think are really nice. I have to say, fallout wise though, the lighter blue is the one that I feel a little bit more fallout with than the deeper one. The deeper one seems to adhere to the skin just slightly better. The blue one seems to be a little bit more powdery. Even when I put the brush in the pan, you can see a lot of dust kick up from that. And that's the primary color I have on my mirror. So it's kind of transferred a bit, that and the black. So, you know, I would have to say this palette, I don't think it's as good as the other color stories that I picked up. So unfortunately, I feel like this palette, it's a nice palette. You can definitely create some nice looks, but it's a little bit of a letdown because I feel like, you know, the blues, they're great. They're exactly what you would expect the blues to be color-wise. The black, I feel like, is a letdown. The green is a letdown. And you know, that's half the palette right there. So, you know, I wish this had been tweaked just a little bit differently so that the green was more pigmented. And honestly, I would have loved to have seen the black replaced with a different shade. Maybe even some sort of teal or another green in there. I think it would have been really pretty to have like a Kelly green. So, you know, I was really excited to try this palette, but I actually prefer my other YSL palettes that I picked up over this one. So I just feel like it doesn't quite live up to the hype. It's still nice, just not as great as I thought it was going to be. So let's go ahead and take a look at some other blue eyeshadow palettes and see how this one compares. So I have a few comparisons. We're going to start off with the newest blue palette, and this is the Cle de Peau. I forget, it's like, I can't remember the name. I'll have to put that on the screen. But we start off here with a light blue. You can see that this light blue has more green in it. And then we have a teal. And then we have kind of this primer that you don't see so much and a navy. So this is a completely different blue color story than the YSL. The YSL is giving me more, you know, 70s blue eyeshadow vibes versus the Cle de Peau, which seems a little bit more updated because of those teals. I also want to take a look at the Dior. This is one of their velvet palettes that came out last year. This is 189 blue velvet. And, you know, we're going to skip let's do the blues and the black and just see how they compare. This black is actually more of a navy. So let's go ahead and put this one right here. And there's that. Compared to these, you can see how much more vibrant the YSL is in comparison. And our navy's actually, you can see it's a very blue-black kind of shade, but you can see the difference in the opacity level between the YSL and the Dior. And then next up, we have Dior Denim. This is the old formula. We're going to go ahead and let's put this one up here because we're kind of running out of space. I feel like it's getting a little harder to see. You can see we've got kind of this really pretty bright blue, a teal. Again, we have more greens in this palette. And then we're going to skip that champagne shade in the middle, the golden shade. But we have another green and then a deeper blue. So again, this YSL palette's going to stand out from all of these other blue choices because of the color story. And I think that's a great thing. You know, it's nice that they didn't kind of follow that same formula that we keep seeing. But I just wish that there wasn't quite as much fallout. And again, I think that black shade just isn't great. This here is Guerlain Mystic Peacock. We're just going to take a look at the blue in this case. So let me go ahead and just put the blue, we'll just put it right here. So you can see, again, it's not going to match up to anything in the YSL. So the YSL is right here, pale green, pale blue. the black with the blue glitter, and the brighter blue. And next, let's take a look at the Valentino Liquirossos. And these are a lip and blush blur liquid matte color lasting high comfort liquid lipstick. So these are a new product from Valentino. And as you can see, I picked up a ton of shades because, you know, honestly, they were just so hard to choose from. I think they've got a really beautiful shade range. The photos look really gorgeous. So just a little bit about this. These are a 2-in-1 liquid lipstick and blush. You've got a buildable matte color. It's lightweight texture and hydrating feel on lips. This is according to Valentino. And in this case, these are going to be made in France. And we have a 2-year shelf life on these. They're 6.5 milliliters of product each. And, you know, as I mentioned, you know, great color line. You've got lighter cool tone shades, lighter warm tone shades, deeper cool tones, and warmer tones. And I feel like that's something that a lot of brands are missing. A lot of brands go, oh, the warmer tones are going to be your lighter shades, your deeper shades are your cooler tones. Maybe you might have some warm tones in there too, but a lot of brands are really lacking those lighter cool tones. And I think Valentino did a great job with their color palette. Now, as for the actual product itself, as you can see, I've got cheek swatches going on here. I tapped them on with my fingers just so you could see what they look like on the cheeks. A few of the shades, like for example, the lightest shade in 109R, it's not really going to have much presence on the cheeks. It's a really beautiful, barely there shade. Some of the deeper shades are going to be a little bit deep for me, but using them as a source of underpainting works very well. So all shades are actually very wearable on the cheeks for fair and light skin tones. For deeper skin tones, you definitely want to skew towards some of those deeper, brighter shades to have more of an impact. The only shade that really doesn't work so well for me as a cheek color is going to be the purple one, the, what is that, 601R. And that is probably not going to work for most people as a blush. And that's okay. Not all of these shades have to be used for both blush and lipstick. But that is a shade that you can mix to cool off some other shades that you have, either from this formula or from others, as well as you could even use it as a little bit of contour. So it's definitely still a versatile shade on the face if you want to use it that way. As for the formula on the face, I've been testing these for quite a while. So I placed this huge order from Valentino. They didn't ship it forever because even though I pre-ordered, some of my shades went out of stock and they went on back order instead of actually shipping out my pre-order. So I, however, did order some from Sephora, which came right away. So I've been testing those for quite a while now. And I'm very happy with this formula. So you put it on, it feels very thin, very lightweight. It feels like a thin liquid. And I wouldn't say it evaporates super quickly, so it doesn't have that drying feeling. If your lips are chapped, as mine are right now from all of the lip swatches and so forth, you feel a little bit of a tingle putting it on just from whatever the ingredients are in there, but definitely nothing like mint or cinnamon or anything tingly like that. It's just like for maybe not even 5 full seconds, I would say. And I think these are, really beautiful. Now on the face, these are going to kind of set pretty quickly. So, you've got a minute or so of playtime. You can still kind of move it around and blend it, but then they will set. And these last for me all day on the cheeks. I think they're really beautiful, particularly the deeper shades. I just think they blend out and give this really soft, blurred effect. You can top them with a little foundation if it's a little bit too deep. You can blend it with a luminizer. They're just gorgeous. Now, as for on the lips, I think that these are actually going to be best utilized with 1, maybe 2 layers of product, but I think these are best utilized for that soft, blurred lip look where you just kind of put on a little bit and you can smudge it out with your finger if you want, or the applicator, but you want kind of that soft blurred look, not necessarily like a high vamp velvet. Even with the deeper shades, I feel like this formula, if you continue to layer it, can look a little bit patchy that way. If you want to continue to layer it, you want to put one thin coat on, let it sit for a minute or so, then add your second coat. If you add a second or third coat before it has truly set, that's when you could end up with some product accumulated a little bit more highly in certain areas than others. So just something to note there, but I think these are best as more of a minimal application versus something layered, to build up that color a ton. I think these are perfect to give you that soft blurred lip look. Now, as for performance, I wouldn't say that these last particularly well. They are not transfer proof. They are not an all day wear liquid lipstick. They will wear off. You actually have probably, your average lipstick time, you're looking at 4 or 5 hours. You could definitely, if you're drinking a lot from a water bottle or something, you're going to get kind of that faded area in the center. They're really easy to reapply, however, so for me, I don't think it's an issue. I think these are just a really beautiful product, easy to top off. They're weightless on the lips. I wouldn't say that they're hydrating, but they're not drying. They kind of feel like they're not there. So really comfortable. When you first put it on, you feel a little bit of slip, kind of like a little bit, I wouldn't even say silicone. It doesn't feel quite like that, or an oil, more like a hybrid between the two of those, but it's very, very soft in texture. So very thin as well. So you're not feeling much of anything. And I think it's a really comfortable product. So I have to say, I really do like these a lot. I like them for both lips and cheeks. Typically when we have these duo products, I don't like them for both. And these I do. I like how these will set down as a blush. They give you kind of a blurred effect on your cheeks. They also give you that soft blurred look on your lips. And I feel like they don't really accumulate into lip lines or, anything like that. No issues with feathering, bleeding, or anything like that either. So I think they're just a really beautiful product. And again, with lips, I would start definitely with less and then build up a little bit to more, but you still want to keep more on the minimal side to prevent any sort of, patchiness or anything with some of those deeper shades. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the applicator. And as you could see, my one with the bright Barbie pink color that is broken. I would have to say though, I don't really love this applicator. As you could see from the applicator and the way this is designed, we have kind of like a piece of plastic in the center. You can feel that on, pretty much both sides of this applicator. So this is slanted so that you can apply your product. The angling is great to get around the lip lines. I really like the shape of it, but I wish this were a little bit fluffier because it's not the most comfortable applicator. So I feel like the applicator itself is it's a great shape, it's a great size, but it needs to have a little bit more, a little bit more of a flocked sponge on there. It needs to be a little bit spongier in general. So I feel more of the plastic tube in the handle than I do of the actual sponge part of the applicator. And I just wish it were a little bit more substantial than it is. So again, these are going to be our shades here. And they've been sitting on my arm for a while now. You can see as they dry out. And, they're not really like spreading out or smudging, not too much. This one's still a little wet, so it's smudging a little bit. But these will set down on the skin. We've got some really beautiful colors here again. And I have to say, I really like them. Do I have a favorite? That's really hard to say. I tend to gravitate a lot towards these two, which are going to be the 109R and the 110A. And then also these two here, the 220A and the 151R. So those are kind of the ones that I like the most. Now, as for the pink and the orange, I love this orange one here on the cheeks. It's really beautiful on the lips as well. I did think it was going to be a little bit more vibrant than it is, but I actually love it the way it is. I'm very happy with it. This pink, I love the color, but I wish I had a little bit more presence. You can see when I put this on in the lip demo, you know, how you can really sheer that out, which makes it really wearable. But I was looking for something a little bit more wow. So I was hoping for that one to be a little bit more pigmented. And yeah, overall though, I have to say all of them are great. I love all of the colors. The only one that was sort of a miss for me is the purple, but I kind of knew that going in. This is not a color that's going to look great on me, but I am going to plan on mixing that with some of the others. Like this mixed with the red can make a really beautiful blush and so forth. So, you know, for me, it's going to be used as a mixer, which I think is going to work very well. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love to know if you've tried any of these. Love to hear your thoughts on the YSL as well as the Valentino. So please share those down below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.